Hello tasters, welcome to Walker Tea Review. This is your community of people to interact with and talk about teas with. It's also your library. If you're thinking of making a choice, holiday seasons, gift times coming up, this may be a time you were considering the gift of tea for someone else. Having those stocking up for the cold winter months. This is your library of reviews to go back, look through, find those teas so that you may be considering buying but you're just not sure about yet. This is your place to kind of scan through. In line with that, if there are teas that you are thinking or looking to buy and you don't see them listed, let me know. Perhaps I can work those into a schedule so that you can see some of those upcoming reviews, teas that you need to help and you need more information about. We're also doing a tea tasting. That's what we're about here together. We review, but we also taste. So this is an educational experience, a learning experience. If you are new to tea, want to know how to prepare, and perhaps you want to develop certain skills like how to use a gaiwan. Okay, so we're going to be doing some of those things together. We have a green tea with us today, right over here. We've got our water that's just been brought off of the boil, close, not a full rolling boil, and we're going to go ahead and get this one started. As we said, this is a gaiwan, which is a traditional Chinese style of preparing teas. If you want to know more about how to prepare for a tea tasting or information on how to taste teas, right up above you'll find the How to Taste link, and that will help you to get some ideas on information, equipment that you may want to use, and if you want to start your own tea tasting journal, which I keep a journal so that I can go back and recall things that I have learned about teas, and it's about a specific tea, especially if that tea can change over time, or one harvest of one year versus harvest of a previous year. So we're going to go ahead and get this tea started. You'll note that we section this video just below here into sections of dry leaf, the wet leaf, and the liquor. What you just saw just now, before I get too complicated here, we just took our regular teaspoon, we filled up, you can't just really compact and press that down in, so we got a nice full arching lumpy teaspoon, and we've covered the bottom of our, I believe this is an 80 milliliter gaiwan. This gaiwan is from Grand Teas. If you're considering gaiwans and want to check out prices and the options there. So that's ready. We brought our water here. We're going to go ahead and get this one going, and then we'll be able to talk a little bit more about the tea that we have. Now the gaiwan, if you're using a gaiwan, developing your gaiwan skills, I prefer to fill my cup up enough, not to the brim or to the rim there, but enough that when I place my lid on, I get a seal of water that has risen up above the rim of the lid, and that kind of locks in the heat and gives a nice even steeping there. Now we are talking today about Rishi's Organic HongQing Special. This is a 2009 tea. It is an organic tea, also a fair trade tea. This tea goes 50 grams for $8. Now, the name HongQing, why is that there? What does it mean? HongQing is a Chinese word that talks about basically two characters. Hong is to be bake or roast. Qing is green is related to green, so it's the way that you stop the process, or you dry the leaf. Stop the oxidation process or dry the leaf. With this particular one, that means that they've used warm air to blow over, to pass over, to dry out these leaves. This process that's noted here on Rishi's site, a little bit about the HongQing process. Also in other places you'll find HongQing can also be used with teas that are going to have a scent added to it, like a jasmine tea. The green tea that's used in a jasmine tea is often gone through a HongQing process, because that process enables the teas to be more conducive to absorbing flavors, and that's one of the purposes of the HongQing process. Also, you'll note this is a tea from Yunnan, and this tea and the Yunnan, the Dai Ye, the big leaf varietal, is actually an Assamica, and Assamikas are often also connected with India. So because Yunnan is in the southwestern part of China, not that far from India, not that far from where the Tibetan mountain range and the Himalayas there begin. So that kind of takes care of our introduction of our tea here. What else did I want to mention? Let's go on now and let's talk a little bit about the dry leaf, the wet leaf, and the liquor. So we're talking about our dry leaf. Our dry leaf, we're going to be looking at three areas. Of course, the aroma and the shape and color of our leaves. So let's pull out a few of these leaves. This is characteristic of some of Rishi's other dry leaf from Yunnan. There's a bit of a sweet and herbal, spicy type note, and so I pulled those notes that were similar to. I found it was similar to a combination of like nutmeg and marjoram. So it's got a bit of that herby spice note to it. It's also got a bit of a kind of a sweet spice note to it. And those were the two. Now, we're also going to be talking about the shape and color of our dry leaf. What we're going to be noting here, I pulled out a few just to kind of look at. You're getting leaves that are long, fairly good length. You're getting them wrapped along the vein of the leaf, kind of curled and folded around that main middle vein of the leaf. You're also getting some kind of silvery, tippy, fuzzy type needles or tips there. So that indicates a young, delicate, newer, younger part of the plant. You're getting, like we said, the leaf. The leaves are more of a kind of like a Kelly, more of like a little bit more of a greener brown, like a pear type or something like that. Also, if you look at the what's the word I'm trying to think of here? Wikipedia. They have a color scheme, color range of colors. Asparagus is one of the colors that comes off, or as a descriptor to describe the colors of the green leaf here. So, green asparagus color, silvery tips. We talked about marjoram and nutmeg aromas there, and that kind of gives us a brief introduction to our dry leaf. So, put those back in, save those for later. We're going to move now and talk a little bit about our wet leaf, and of course we're going to have to pour for that. So look at our wet leaf. So let's get out our towel here to absorb any spills. Get our gaiwan here, and our cup is ready. Now we use a stemless wine glass mainly because it allows us all to look at the color. The shape and size also enables us to stick our nose in and get smells of the tea that way as well. So for the gaiwan, you do want to be able to tilt your lid over to the side, angle it so that the lower part creates an opening that we're going to pour the tea through. The upper part is raised up enough so that air can seep through to pour through and give us a nice, more consistent, even pour. Air comes in, water flows out without dripping, running down the side. That's a concern. Also, you're using your longest finger, your middle finger, your thumb here on the sides. Your index finger presses firmly on the lid to hold that in place. And then we pour. Here we go. You try to keep to the rim because your bowl, lower part sides, they're full of hot tea and they're going to be pretty warm. So we've set that down. I'm going to set that aside, let that cool enough so that we can actually taste it, put it in our mouths without scorching and scalding our taste buds. So as we're talking about our wet leaf, a couple of things we're going to be noting is our aromas, our colors and shape changes of our wet leaf. So first we want to give it a smell. Ooh, okay. Some characteristic notes. There is kind of a cigarette ash type smell to this, a little bit of a kind of a very, like an oven type scorched element. You're also getting a bit of a lima bean type, a fresh, tender lima bean. So it does have a bit of a kind of a sweetness to it, but it's also got a bit of that kind of old starchy type bean note to it. So it's a combination of that roasted with the lima bean type. So those are the dominant flavors or aromas coming off of the leaf. Let us go and talk a little bit about the wet leaf here. Now our colors have lightened up. We had that deeper kind of greenish gray asparagus color in our dry leaf, but now when we look at our wet leaf here, they have brightened up into kind of like a Kelly green. Let me pull out a few of these leaves and look at them more carefully. One thing I've discovered already, we do have a tip that we talked about before. This tip is kind of loosened up, opened up a bit. We've got a nice leaf here on the side, a nice tip. You could probably kind of unfurl that tip and notice the layers within that tip. We're going to set that aside for now. Here we got a piece of, I'm just going to kind of hold this. This was probably, there's probably a bit more originally attached to this piece of, the very tender end of the stem or branch here. We had a leaf that was attached here that's broken off. Okay, so we'll set that one aside to keep that. I'm looking for a fuller size kind of leaf to look at. Here's one. Nice small tender leaf. Firm, but al dente, but not tough or leathery by any means. Not the most delicate, but again, this is a more substantial type of leaf anyway. So that kind of gives us a look at our color of our leaf, our shapes and kinds of leaves. You're getting leaf parts here. You're getting some, I'll put that one there. There's a larger size of green leaf as well. So it kind of covers the basic spectrum of our leaves in our cup here, wet leaf. Now we're going to be moving to our the wet leaf. The liquor. With our liquor, we're looking at things like our aroma, the body. How does it feel in your mouth? We're going to be talking about any kind of aftertaste that it has, that as it travels through your mouth, any changes or new aromas that new flavors that pop up. So we've got a nice a green gold type color here. Let's go ahead and give this one a smell. Again, this one's got a bit of a kind of like a peppery slash marjoram there, as far as the aromas go. Any kind of sweetness or nutmeg is more subdued. So those are the first things that really come off. So let's give this one a try. Yeah, this one's got a little bit of a sweet, a faint kind of sweet slash bitter tart, like it's like something that hasn't fully ripened. It's got potential. It's starting to release those natural sweet juices, but it's still got a bit of that kind of green raw sharpness to it, like a green wheat. If you're ever out in a wheat field and you were able to kind of grind up a green wheat head, grind that up, taste it. It does have a bit of sweetness. It's not, but it's still got a little bit of that kind of I'm raw, I'm not fully developed green, bitter slash tartness to it. And that's what you're getting here. You're getting a green wheat with that marjoram type spicy element to it. The body is actually quite thick for a green tea. It does coat the mouth quite smoothly. It's fairly extended. It doesn't dissipate. It doesn't just drop off. And so that's what you're getting on the aftertaste as well. You're getting those same flavors, that same texture and mouthfeel that just kind of carry on very consistently. It does have a little bit of a stringency to it, so that it does give this a dry feeling towards the end, especially after you swallow. At the same time, it delivers all that with no real bitterness to it. It's got a bit of a tartness to it, as we said, in that green wheat taste, but there's not an aftertaste that gives you this kind of bitter feel or perspective. So, what we find from this tea, kind of put it all together. Again, this was a HongQing tea, and this was a Yunnan tea that this kind of tea is often used for your Chinese black teas that are from the Yunnan area. It's also used for some of the white. Rishi in particular offers several of the white teas of this kind of varietal, and so this one doesn't really bring the classic green tea type taste to it. It's got some of the white teas or the black teas the black teas without the maltiness, or the white teas that are a little bit thicker or fuller than a silver needle from Yunnan, say. So not really classic on those. It does have a nice smooth body to it, especially for a green tea. So we give this tea, we scored this tea an 88 because it does have some redeeming characteristics, yet it's not what a lot of green tea drinkers have, or green tea tasters like you, have come to expect from a Chinese green tea. But this was something to expand your palate and try something new. This is something that would be very informative and a good learning experience if you were kind of experiencing Yunnan teas as a whole. What does this varietal taste like in a white, green, and black tea? How does the difference in processing bring out different nuances of the tea? So this was Rishi's Ancient HongQing Special here at Walker Tea Review.